Hello, everyone, and welcome to theCUBE's live coverage of Audit Board's Audit Beyond here in sunny San Diego. I'm your host, Rebecca Knight, alongside Rob Strechay, one of my favorite people to work with. It is a delight to be here with you.
It's so great to be here. I mean, the sun is shining outside. It's making everybody in a really great mood, which I think is, you know, the difference between here and, say, Vegas or something like that.
I would agree 100%. Yeah. So you and I are both fresh from the main stage where we heard lots of Audit Board executives, including many who will be on our show later today, including Raul Villar, Happy Wong, many others, Anton, Sarah Goff. The messaging to me, in what I'm hearing, just to level set, we're at this crossroads. Obviously, technology is changing faster than ever before, of course, powered by AI. There are new risks. There are all these new compliance and regulations, and Audit Board is here to solve all your problems.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to sum it up. I think that when you start to look at how the audit professionals who are here are really going about their day-to-day job, there's a lot of toil involved. Having been at a company, a financial services company, and had to go through these audits, had to get letters from the SEC, had to understand risk and compliance and regulation. And back then, you know, this is pre-GDPR, but there was a DC Data Privacy Act, there was the California stuff still wasn't out yet, GDPR was, but there was still 14A, 7 and B and A through F now, and like all these SEC regulations around compliance, especially for the financial services markets. I think the thing that stood out to me with them this morning was kind of three pillars: AI-powered assurance, AI-powered GRC ecosystem, or governance, regulation, and compliance, or risk and compliance, and then AI-powered insights, and how they were really going to be able to overlay the Audit Board product to help take the toil out of that. Not replace people. They were very big on not replacing people, but how do you get all of the toil out of doing that? And
I think that's a great point. And you're saying the word toil, but it's really the boring stuff, the mundane, repetitive tasks. And I think Anton on the main stage said, when I first got into this industry, that was what was most striking to me, is that here were all these super intelligent people, these highly detail-oriented, visionary thinkers, but who were stuck doing that stuff. Couldn't we get them onto bigger and better things? And can't we get some robots to do all the boring stuff? And as you said, the messaging is very much, we're going to take AI, but technology is not the hero. The human is the hero. Technology is the amplifier. I think it said, one of the things they said was, we don't replace your intelligence, we release it.
Yeah, I think that, to me, that was the key, was how do you bring things together, such as when you're going through audits, there's a lot of data collection. Well, what if you can automate that data collection? What if you can automate the data gathering aspects of it so that there's much less that has to be put onto individuals when they're really going down deep into this, and they have to interact with other individuals who are actually doing the audit, because especially with public companies, as you know, was talked about by Raul, where he went through his S1 filing, you had to get in compliance. I've gone through 2 S1 filings. I understand what he's talking about in detail. I've had to go through the compliance, the risk, and the put all the controls and compliance in place. And when you start to look at those controls and assurance and risk and how you really control all of that, it becomes really tough. And I think this is where ML and AI really can help out. And it's more than just a chatbot. And I think that was, what they were trying to get across as well. We're going well beyond what you're doing with that, and here's how we're making it so. Like when they talked about having a, bow tie analysis, that brought back memories as well. When you're starting to look at all of the different things and how they meet in the middle, and what different trade-offs you can actually make. And I know they have a ton more demos that are out there that are going to be online that I can't go into right at the moment. I've seen a sneak preview of, but that really will help with a lot of the changing regulatory, because, you have GDPR, you have NIST, you have the AI Act. You have in Europe, you have DORA in Europe. You have a number of these different regulations that are causing people a lot of angst beyond SOX and, infosec and all of the audit functions that are normally there as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun when you look at this, especially as people try to align to how they do this now that AI is not only an additive where AuditBoard's leveraging it, but it's a complication. And how do you collect all of this data about AI as well?
Exactly. I mean, one of the points that was made today is that what is slowing companies down is that they can't make decisions fast enough. And the stalled decision making is money in lost productivity and lost innovation. And it has very expensive consequences for many companies. I know AuditBoard does business with, I think, half of the Fortune 500. So talk me through, as you said, there are some products that we can't yet pull the cover over yet. But talk me through some of the announcements you saw this morning and what was most interesting to you and what's resonating.
I think they're bringing not only AI, but they're bringing things like a trusted knowledge library to the table that's backing the AI. And so they have their own intellectual property that they've gathered and bring in and continuously update. I think that was one of the keys that came out of it. I think also, obviously a platform-wide assistant helping you understand and, hey, I need to know, I have to come up with regulations. I thought one of the demos they had in the keynote was excellent in the fact that it went into, hey, I need to be in a new country by the end of the year, and I need to be compliant with all the regulations that are going on in that country as well. How do I go through that? And oh, by the way, you get no more people, which I'll come back to in a second because I know you key in on this stuff. So, and I got a question for you, but it's like when you look at this and how that would normally be able to go into a new country to be able to do that. Not to mention there's going to be stuff with your manufacturers and everything else that goes on in all of your supply chain. There's a lot of complication to that. But I thought what was interesting to me as they pulled back the covers on this was that I think a theme that I picked up on and I'm really want to get your thoughts on is they were talking about hiring and really the skills shift and how, auditors had to have a data literacy. What else did you hear about that? Because it seemed like there was some changing in how people were going to actually do their work now that AI was coming in, and they were really trying to spearhead that and help them.
Well, you are right. And I think that the data backs this up, that so many workers have a lot of anxiety about AI anxiety. They've made it some sort of catchphrase, but people are worried about the jobs displacement. And the data is already showing that that is real, particularly for entry-level workers. We now have a lot of recent college graduates who are having a hard time getting a foothold in the job market. Because a lot of the entry-level work is now being taken over by AI. The numbers are already bearing this out. But I think what they were saying in terms of organizations making this a real expectation in their workforce is that, yes, we are going to have to upskill you. We are going to have to train you. These are new technologies that are coming whether you like them or not. And so it's really all about this culture change and not this top-down, you better do this. I didn't mean to at all imply that, but just really setting expectations around how people use these technologies to do their jobs, to augment their own intelligence, to help them out, to improve their collaboration, their innovation. I mean, I think that a lot of companies are still having a hard time. I mean, this has not been seamless by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of companies are still figuring it out. Many are stuck in pilot mode. Many are facing really stubborn people in their workforces who are not quite embracing it to the extent that they would like. But I think that it does have to get back to setting expectations around this is how our work is changing. Come with us. Why don't we throw our arms around each other and go on this journey together? And you can tell us, what don't you like about your job? Because guess what? Maybe we can get a robot to do that. And you can focus on the more interesting parts of your job, the stuff you like doing.
Yeah, I think that whole point about it being an assistant and additive versus, hey, replacement and taking away is a big key. I think, again, they talked about that with their announcement around document intelligence and some of the other ones. The scenario planning got probably the biggest roar out of that, because scenario planning for risk analysis is probably one of the most tedious things I've ever been involved in. And I think that when you started to see people, this is where I think people are like, oh, we can do that. We can pick different points. We can, up and down, because there's been some AI and modeling involved in that risk scenario planning for a while. But the fact that it's now tied to the regulations, it's now tied to somebody who can offer up and go and catch things that maybe you didn't see and offer up ideas, I think that's where it becomes that assistant and not the replacement, because there's still things that, you're going into a certain country and your supply chain, you may want a certain supplier, irrespective, but it may be an accepted risk that you're willing to take with this person because you're using them other places, even though maybe there's a higher risk in that country for some reason or another. I think that was really key. I also thought that, to that point about AI, the AI governance expansion with the acquisition of FairNow, Raul talked about wanting to marry them. They wanted to date, and, they got married. So I think, we made them an offer they could not refuse. That's what I took away from that.
And we're having the founder and CEO on the show later today.
Yes.
Getting back to that scenario planning, 100% right, especially because right now we all are living through this very unsettled geopolitical times, let's say, and the one scenario up there on the stage they kept mentioning is, let's just say there's a new tariff that's announced. How do we model this? How do we figure out what this means for our business? We all know that these scenarios are incredibly difficult to plan, and they are ever changing. So having some technology to help you along the way is really critical. So Rob, we've got an incredible show all day long, so many fantastic guests. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Same here. Can't wait.
And we will be right back with theCUBE's live coverage of Audit and Beyond. You're watching theCUBE, the leader in enterprise news and analysis.